Hello, everyone, and welcome to this video on the fabulous Freebirds. Michael Hayes, Terry Gordy, and Buddy Roberts, a threesome that was, there was no doubt, one of the greatest tag teams in the history of professional wrestling. Part five on the fabulous Freebirds. We're gonna start this. We're gonna start on television, Georgia Championship Wrestling Television. It was November 29th, 1980 at the TBS studios. Robert Fuller is out there, and they go over a match with Stan Frazier. And during this match, the Freebirds win the national tag team titles. Fuller is being beat up in this match. He finally gets the tag to Frazier. And I don't know if y'all saw this match or not, but poor old Frazier gets in there and they start beating him up as well. Michael Hayes gets involved in this match. He actually comes off the top rope onto Frazier, and they win. That's how they win the title. So they make a big deal out on television. Let me ask y'all this question. Let me ask you this question on this particular program. Was John Frazier, was he the man to go against the Freebirds at this time?
No.
Rodney?
No.
What happens actually in the match is Frazier goes after Hayes. Gordy goes behind him and attacks him, and he knocks him down. Frazier Michael Hayes holds his leg. And so Robert Fuller gets beat for the 3 count, 1, 2, 3. Jack, let's go over his other matches.
Let me say one thing about the thing with Frazier. Frazier, normally in other places he's been is much stronger. Here he's not. That's the Booker's issue. He wants to make him weak. In fact, the Booker also makes DiBiase weak through the whole thing as well. Go ahead.
Okay, and we pick up November 29th, 1980, TBS Studios. Terry Gordy and Buddy Roberts defeated Terry Taylor and Gerald Finley. Also, same date, Buddy Roberts and Terry Gordy defeated Jerry Roberts and Marvin Turner. And then on the 30th, Cobb County Civic Center in Marietta, Terry Gordy, Buddy Roberts, and Michael Hayes defeated Steve Kern, Robert Fuller, and Stan Frazier in an elimination match. And then on December the 1st, 1980, Bell Auditorium in Augusta, Georgia, Stan Frazier defeated Terry Gordy. And then on the 3rd at Municipal Auditorium in Columbus, Georgia, Terry Gordy and Buddy Roberts defeated Kevin Sullivan and Robert Fuller. And then on the 5th of December, Coliseum in Gadsden, Alabama, my hometown here, Terry Gordy and Buddy Roberts defeated Mr. Wrestling number 2 and Kevin Sullivan. On the 6th at the TBS Studios back in Atlanta, Steve O and Ron Cheatham defeated Terry Gordy and Buddy Roberts by disqualification. Then on the 12th of December, 1980, the Omni in Atlanta, Georgia, Terry Gordy and Buddy Roberts, the champions, defeated Robert Fuller and Stan Frazier and retained the NWA National Tag Team titles. And then on the 13th, Mid-South Auditorium in Griffin, Georgia, Robert Fuller, Stan Frazier, and Ted DiBiase defeats Buddy Roberts, Terry Gordy, and Michael Hayes in a Texas Tornado match.
All right, Rodney, if you'll pick up from there on December 13th, 1980, at the WTBS studios, Terry Gordy and Buddy Roberts went against Robert Fuller and Stan Frazier. Rodney, what did you think about this match? Ted DiBiase in commentary.
Yes, Ted DiBiase in this match refers to Frazier as big and overweight. I don't know if you caught that. Big and overweight. But yeah, Frazier I think a pretty decent match. But Freebird's always on top of their game, and I think this match really moved. And in the end, it's Frazier grabbing the bear hug on Terry Gordy, and the Fuller leg lock on Buddy Roberts. Robert Fuller has it on, and then Michael Hayes in the ring, and then Ted DiBiase comes in, and then it's DiBiase and Frazier and Robert Fuller and cleaning house with the Freebirds, and that begins DiBiase's involvement with the Freebirds. And the Freebirds in this, in fact, did say during this commentary that he talked about meeting the Freebirds in Louisiana prior to coming here. thought it was very important. Some places decide, well, we've forgotten that they've ever met and act like it never happened, which is ridiculous and stupid. Even on a national show, it's still stupid. They've always should always said, I've had my run-ins with people before. So, yeah, pretty decent match.
All right, Jack.
All right. December the 13th, 1980, WTBS Studios in Atlanta, Georgia. Terry Gordy, Buddy Roberts, and Michael Hayes defeated Gerald Finley, Jimmy Jones, and Jerry Roberts. And then on the 18th, Memorial Gymnasium in Rome, Georgia, Michael Hayes, Buddy Roberts, Terry Gordy went against Tony Atlas, Stan Frazier, Mr. Wrestling #2, results unknown.
By the way, Jerry Roberts, Jacques Rougeau are the Mountie.
That's right.
Those people.
International law enforcement officer. International, yes. Excuse me. So we come up on December the 20th, 1980, and this is a beautiful interview. Michael Hayes, Terry Gordy, Buddy Roberts, all at the ringside with Gordon Soley. Michael Hayes talks about the sort of the history of the Freebirds. He says, me and Terry started this in Tennessee, and when we did, we beat everybody in Tennessee, and people said, you couldn't do that in Georgia. Then we went to Kentucky and we beat everybody up there. And then what did they say? You can't do that in Georgia. Then we picked up, we went to Mississippi and we beat up everybody there. Well, you can't do this in Georgia. Then later on, we picked up Buddy Roberts. We picked up Buddy, and everybody was saying, well, you still can't do that in Georgia. Well, we're here in Georgia and we're doing it in Georgia too. So it was an awesome radio interview, and he talked about beating up Jack Briscoe, beating Jerry Briscoe, talked about wrestling 2 being beat and causing his retirement, and then he challenges. Gordon says, "Wait, we sit here, you talk all the time, but every time we see you, you're out at ringside, you're never in the ring." And then of course Hayes says, "Well, this is what makes me mad, that I'm not holding up my part of being a Freebird." And he says, so what I'm going to do right here today, I'm going to challenge Ted DiBiase here on this program in this ring, one-on-one. And I thought, fantastic. And of course, they had the yellow and green outfits on, matching outfits. They looked like stars, and Hayes was on top of his game, no doubt about it. Then the match comes up with Ted DiBiase against Michael Hayes. Hayes come out there, Hayes takes his robe off, makes one round with DiBiase. He jumps out of the ring, and then Gordy and Buddy Roberts holds him back as if he's going to kill the guy. He's going to finally Terry gets his stuff off and goes in, and he does the match with Ted DiBiase. Buddy Roberts goes back to the commentation to Gordon, says, "I'm glad we pulled Michael off this man. He would have hurt this man. I've seen what he's done." I've seen what he's done when he's been made this mad. The match continues. In the end, it's Michael Hayes gets in the ring, and then here comes DiBiase. Then Freebirds are in the ring. Then our DiBiase comes in the ring. Our Robert Fuller comes in the ring. They are beaten up. Here comes Stan Frazier. Freebirds double up on Frazier. Terry Gordy picks him up into the pile driver with Buddy Roberts and Michael Hayes on either side, picks him up. I couldn't believe it. When we were in the studio, we could not believe it. When Terry Gordy spike pile drived Frazier right in the middle of the ring. And I'm going to tell you, he hit hard. He hit hard because he had a gigantic mat burn right on the top of his head. Most wonderful, proudest moment of my life to watch this. And I'll just tell you, behind the scenes, we would stay after TBS. They would do interviews for the Sunday night show and some interviews as well. And we were back there talking about, well, we wish they'd get rid of that Frazier. Michael Hayes, well, we don't want you to get rid of Frazier. We like beating him up.
He did. He said at the TV station. They also did an interview, Rodney, where they pushed, they were doing a Christmas night at the Omni. Robert Fuller, Ted DiBiase, Giant Frazier against the fabulous Freebirds. They pushed that. Okay, Jack, let's look at their next matches.
Yeah, and that would have been on the 20th at TBS Studios in Atlanta, Georgia. Terry and Buddy defeated Jimmy Jones and Steve Kern. And then Christmas night at the Omni, Ted DiBiase, Robert Fuller, and Stan Frazier defeated Terry Gordy, Buddy Roberts, and Michael Hayes in a lumberjack elimination match. And then earlier in the day, They were also at the Municipal Auditorium in Columbus, Georgia, where Terry Gordy and Michael Hayes defeated Steve Kern and Terry Taylor. Those Municipal Auditorium shows in Columbus were always afternoon shows on a Sunday or holiday. And then on the 27th, we moved to the Memorial Auditorium in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Terry Gordy and Buddy Roberts defeated Jack Briscoe and Jerry Briscoe.
All right, Rodney, we'll pick up December 27th, the Atlanta studios and WTBS.
Yeah, Gordon's interviewing Robert Fuller, Ted DiBiase, and they show the 2-ring Triple Chance Battle Royal at the Omni, and they talk about Joe LeDuc in this match, in this Triple Chance Battle Royal, comes out, and he, at the time, he is, he's pretty much on the Freebirds side, but in this case, Freebirds and Joe LeDuc do not get along in the match, and Joe LeDuc starts hammering the Freebirds. The crowd goes wild. I mean, the crowd goes wild. They never go anywhere with it. In fact, I believe it was a mistake. That's the reason they did not go anywhere with it.
I think it was a missed opportunity. Jack, do you remember this happening with the Joe LeDuc attacking the Freebirds at the? Did you remember seeing this on television?
No, I don't remember this.
We were there in the Omni. We said these words. We told Dad, which is Ron West, by the way. We told him Joe LeDuc needs to be the guy feuding with the Freebirds. The people went nuts that night in the Omni.
Yes, and there's certain things that certain bookers don't want to happen. And this apparently was one of them, because I don't believe Mr. LeDuc lasted after that very much longer. In fact, and the fact of the matter is it should have been done, regardless of if it was, I believe it was by mistake. I believe it just happened, in my opinion. I think it just happened. And people responded. And when, in lots of times, the things that are not planned, those moments that are not planned are the best moments. Those unscripted moments are just the best. Then, of course, like I said, Joe LeDuc, and then, of course, he was fighting with the Freebirds, and, of course, like I said, we never followed up with it. Then it left Robert Fuller and Ted DiBiase against the Freebirds. Frazier was still out there, and I remember this. Frazier trips up Michael Hayes. Fuller and DiBiase wins the $30,000 after the match, and then Hayes takes a chair and puts it in. And of course, Robert and Ted DiBiase actually leave Frazier out there. And of course, when they're going over the interview, when they're going over it, Robert Fuller and Ted DiBiase going over it, they didn't realize that he was still out there, or so they say. And then that's when the Freebirds double up on him, and Hayes comes off the ropes with a chair on the throat of Frazier. And as Michael Hayes says, we don't want you to get rid of him because we like beating him up. And it's proven every week exactly that.
All right, then Terry Gordy, Buddy Roberts, also on that same TV show, went against Big Bill Drummo.
Yeah.
And Tom Hart. All right, Jack.
January 1st, 1981, just a few days after the big Christmas show, we're back at the Omni in Atlanta. Robert Fuller and Ted DiBiase defeated Terry Gordy and Buddy Roberts by disqualification. The Freebirds retained the NWA Tag Team titles. And then on January 3rd at the Coliseum in Gadsden, Alabama, Tony Atlas defeated Terry Gordy.
All right, Rodney, on January 3rd, right back at the TBS studios in Atlanta, Georgia, they show a match from the Omni with the Freebirds against Robert Fuller and Ted DiBiase. Great match during this.
Yeah, that was an awesome match. And in the end, it's the Freebirds getting theirs, kind of, with Robert Fuller getting the Fuller leg lock on Buddy Roberts, and it's the figure four, and Michael Hayes comes in, jumps. Of course, it causes disqualification, and then Hayes challenges DiBiase. Well, they say at this time there's going to be a match, but there's not going to be a championship matches any longer. They've said that Michael Hayes says that the Freebirds have beat Fuller and DiBiase enough that there's no reason, there's nothing in it for them. And then, of course, later on the program, they saw Robert Fuller driving around that Lincoln Continental car, and he said, I can tell you this, I'll tell you this, we will have a match with DiBiase and Robert Fuller if they put up the car. And so later on, Ted and Robert agreed to put up the car against the tag team championship in a no disqualification match, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I believe you're all right. Also on that same card, Same on January 3rd, 1981. Terry Gordy and Buddy Roberts defeated Steve-O and our good friend Pat Rose. All right, Jack.
January the 14th, 81, Municipal Auditorium in Columbus, Georgia. Charlie Cook defeated Terry Gordy by disqualification. Then on the 16th at the Omni in Atlanta, Terry Gordy and Buddy Roberts, the champions, defeated Robert Fuller and Ted DiBiase. And then we go to the 24th at the Memorial Auditorium in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Ted DiBiase, Ron Fuller, and Robert Fuller defeated Terry Gordy, Buddy Roberts, and Michael Hayes by disqualification. And then on February 1st, Mid-South Auditorium in Griffin, Georgia, Dick Slater defeated Terry Gordy. And at the DBS Studios on the 7th, Terry Gordy and Buddy Roberts defeated Robert Fuller and Stan Frazier.
By the way, at the Omni in Atlanta on January 16th, 1981, Terry Gordy and Buddy Roberts, Michael Hayes, all win the Lincoln Continental of Robert Fuller. Jack, we'll go ahead. We'll go into the next match, and we'll talk about the Lincoln Continental in just a moment.
February the 8th at the Omni in Atlanta, Georgia, Robert Fuller and Ted DiBiase defeated Terry Gordy and Buddy Roberts. Town Car versus $15,000 match. Junkyard Dog was handcuffed to Michael Hayes. And then on February the 8th, also Mid-South Auditorium in Griffin, Georgia, Andre the Giant, Mr. Wrestling #2, and Robert Fuller defeated the Freebirds. And then on the 11th, Municipal Auditorium, Columbus, Georgia, Buddy Roberts and Terry Gordy defeated Robert Fuller and Stan Frazier in a loser leave town match. And then on the 13th, Municipal Auditorium in Shreveport, Louisiana, Junkyard Dog and Bill Watts versus Terry Gordy and Buddy Roberts, winner unknown. And then on the 14th of February, 1981, Memorial Auditorium in Chattanooga, Tennessee, Robert Fuller and Ted DiBiase defeated Terry Gordy and Buddy Roberts in a Texas tornado match.
Before we move on, we've got to talk just a little bit about the Lincoln Continental. I believe, and I could be wrong about this, but my opinion, this did not help Robert Fuller, Ted DiBiase get over. Kind of hurt Ted DiBiase to a certain extent. Rodney, what do you think? Did the going out there and crying about losing the and the whole Ted DiBiase, did it not make Ted DiBiase look weak?
It made him look terrible. It made him look terrible. It's not like they got cheated. They got cheated out of it. And DiBiase was out there taking full responsibility for it. And I thought it was awful. And almost, like you said, I'd like to apologize to Robert. I feel bad about you losing your car. And it was awful. It was terrible. It's not the first time that this booker has done similar stuff. I remember the Nightmare splitting in Continental. This was one of his deals, and it was disgusting. The commentary, the conversation between Kenny and Danny, this is almost the same exact thing. But this time is DiBiase, with every word he says during this explanation of losing the car, was putting a nail in his own coffin in Georgia, and it wasn't helping to get him over. In fact, with every word, it was killing him off bad.
And by the way, folks, this particular problem was a problem at the time. Ronnie West, Jim Barnett had major meetings about Ted DiBiase and the way that he was being treated at the time with Georgia Championship Wrestling, because he was not being done well at the time.
What's coming up? What's coming up is the worst thing ever. And there's no way. And I have to take my hat off to DiBiase. He did it. He did it. When that was laid out for me, I'd have said, you know what? This is going to kill me off just as well to give me my notice and me head somewhere else, because it was just tragic what happened.
By the way, the booker at the time does leave soon after this. Buck Robley is brought in as the booker for Georgia Championship Wrestling because of certain things that happened in the Omni in Atlanta that Jim Barnett did not like. Just thought we want to tell you about that. By the way, they do, Robert Fuller, Ted DiBiase, they do regain the Lincoln Continental. During that match, I believe, where was that match? The Omni on the 8th, on February 8th, 1981.
Now, we have to remember at this time, the city auditorium is closed, and they're doing the Omni every other week at this point.
Yeah. Terry Gordy and Buddy Roberts on television on the 19th, I believe. It was the 19th or the 18th. I didn't even write down the date this match happened. When against Mike Davis and Jack Poor. Hey, y'all remember the Jack? I always liked Jack.
I remember Jack Poor. Yeah.
You don't remember Jack Poor? We always used to say he looks poor. His wrestling attire don't look like he look like he's poor. Then on February 19th, 1981, the Memorial Gymnasium in Rome, Georgia. By the way, great place for professional wrestling. It was a great place for it. Terry Gordy and Buddy Roberts defeated Ted DiBiase and Mr. Wrestling 2. And then the TBS Studios, all three of the Freebirds defeated Mike Jackson, Ken Hall, and Dave Stanley. And that is the end of part 5 of the Fabulous Freebirds. A whole lot more going on. Buck Robley is on his way to book Georgia Championship Wrestling.
We've got one more match, and that is the Fantasia Gamble match coming up with the Freebirds against Ted DiBiase, I believe Junkyard Dog, and Robert Fuller. And this match is one where Michael Hayes, it starts off with 2 men. Michael Hayes is handcuffed in one corner. Junkyard Dog would be in the other corner. The winner of the first fall would be able to let his man loose in the corner. And then it would be, 3-on-2 at this point. Junkyard Dog is out, apparently just completely out that from my memory. And during the match, it goes to, at this point, it's an elimination. Once they're loose, it's an elimination. The Freebirds eliminate Junkyard Dog. They eliminate Robert Fuller. And then it's 3 Freebirds against Ted DiBiase. Well, they're in the ring. The Freebirds are waiting on Ted DiBiase. DiBiase goes up to the barricades to get back in the ring, looks at all 3 of them, turns, and walks out.
Yeah.
Walks out. He doesn't even try to get in the ring with them. This would have been a prime opportunity to make DiBiase a star, even though he didn't have to win the match. He would at least had the courage to stand up against all 3 of them, because they would have had to maintain a 6-man. They would have had to been tagging in and out. But in this way, and you kind of wonder, Booker, what in the world were you thinking? You wouldn't have done that to yourself. You wouldn't have had yourself turn and walk away and basically chicken out and be a coward. And that's exactly what the people were saying at the Omni.
We were there.
We were saying it at the Omni. DiBiase is a coward. Jack, did you see this?
No, I hadn't seen that.
Oh, it's a disaster. It's an absolute. I think DiBiase comments about this.
Yes, he does.
This situation, and it's a disaster. And DiBiase is he's easily could have been a big huge star. People like DiBiase, and for that, you just kind of wondered. And we were beside ourselves when we left the Omni. Dad heard it. He got a whole. He knew when things were not going well, because he would get an earful when he got in the car. And at that time, what are we? We're 12 years. I'm 12, maybe. Brent's 10. And when we didn't like something, we just told him. We just laid it all out. And he got an earful about that. Well, what was he supposed to do? Go against all 3 of them? And we said, yeah, he was.
Well, that was the match, so it made him look bad. Ted DiBiase knew it made him look bad. That was the change of the guard, so to speak. After that night, it didn't take long before the change of the guard happens, and Buck Robley's there, but Buck Robley doesn't stay long as well. But that we will talk about as we get. Plus, the Freebirds leave as well. It's a horrible thing that happens just in a couple of weeks, and the next Freebird Fabulous Freebird Show, we will talk about all those things that happened during that time. Bruiser Brody also fired during this same time as well. If you enjoyed this show, give us the big thumbs up and subscribe to the page. Go one step further, hit that notification bell. Until the next video,